The 50-cent labor crisis. Who wins when work is free? That's the question. Now, welcome back to the Humanoid Systems Analysis. It's Wednesday, and today we're putting away the spec sheets and looking at the big picture. Now, for 200 years, the global economy has been built on a simple sacred contract. You trade your time for a wage. But in 2026, as the first mass produced Optimus units roll out of Fremont, that contract is being shredded. Now, we're entering the era of the 50-cent laborer. When you account for the $20,000 purchase price of a humanoid over a 5 year lifespan with electricity and maintenance, the cost of a physical labor drops to roughly 50 cents per hour. Now, today, we're asking a question that no politician is ready to answer. When labor costs less than a cup of coffee, who actually gets paid? Now, I'm Marcus J. and the philosophy of the humanoid economy. Now, let's talk about the depth of the time for money trade. Let's look at the brutal math of the 50-cent laborer. If a robot can stock a shelf, pick a strawberry, or weld a frame for 50 cents an hour, 24 hours a day, the value of a human hour in those sectors effectively becomes zero. This isn't just automation. Automation was a machine that did one thing. A humanoid is a platform that does everything. We are decoupled from the marginal cost of labor. In a world of infinite labor, the traditional tax base, your income tax collapses. If the worker doesn't have a paycheck, the government doesn't have a budget. This is the taxation paradox of 2026. Now, if we don't take the labor return on income of the robots, we can't fund the society they are serving, right? But how do you tax a ghost worker is the question. Now let's talk about the universal basic income versus basic assets. Now, this brings us to the inevitable debate, universal basic income. In the past, UBI was a radical theory. Today, it's becoming a survival strategy. But I want to challenge the standard UBI narrative. If the government just prints money to give to citizens while corporations own all the labor platforms, we haven't solved the problem. We've just created a subscription to survival. The real question for the late 2020s is universal basic assets. Instead of a check, should every citizen own a fractional share of the national robot fleet? If 30 robots generating ROI is worth more than a luxury sedan, then ownership of a laborer becomes a new gold standard. In a humanoid economy, you don't want to be the worker, you want to be the asset holder. Let's move on to the post-scarcity myth. Now, there is a dangerous myth that 50-cent labor leads to post-scarcity, that everything will become free. This is a lie. While labor becomes free, resources do not. Land, energy, and raw materials like uh, neodymium magnets we talked about on Tuesday will become more expensive because the robots will be competing with humans for them, right? Now, the robots might be cheap to run, but the electricity to power a billion of them is massive new drain on the grid. We are moving from a labor constrained world to a resource constrained world. The bottleneck isn't can we do the work, it's do we have the atoms to build the world the robots are capable of creating. Okay. Now, what is a human for? It's probably what you're thinking, right? So, we'll end the most uncomfortable question. If a robot can do everything you can do, what are you for? Right? For the last century, we have defined ourselves by our utility. We are plumbers, engineers, or even analysts. But in a world of 50-cent laborer, your utility is no longer your value. 2026 is forcing us to rediscover human agency. We aren't here to be the most efficient units of production. We are here to be the architects of intent. The robot has the how, but it will never have the why. Now, I'm Marcus J. Leave a comment if your labor was worth zero tomorrow. Would you wake up? What would you wake up and do? So I'll be in the comments for the next hour. Let's get deep.